Hey guys, it is a lovely day in the shop. We'll get to that one another day. Today I'm going to button up a motor. If you watched the last video, you saw me take apart a CB125 engine. Well, I spent the past few days getting it all painted up, threw it in the oven to bake the paint. Now I'm ready to stick it all back together. Got new gaskets, I've got new bolts, got new seals. So without further ado, so first step is going to be replacing this cam chain tensioner with a brand new one. Alright, with the cylinder on, my next step is going to be putting in the chain guide. You can see I lifted the cam chain into place here. At this point, while reassembling, you're going to want to make sure to keep that from falling into the crankcase. That's also why I have the cover off, so that if this does fall down, it'll be easy to collect again. So cam chain guide, then we'll put the head on. One thing that you're going to want to remember if you're ever putting together one of these motors is location of those dowel pins, which you can see one right here. There's 3 for the head, here, here, and there, and there's 2 for the base gasket there and there. Definitely worthwhile making sure that you have everything in its correct place before you go to put this stuff together. Otherwise, you're going to be taking it apart again. You don't want that. Give it a nice coating, assembly lube on all of the moving surfaces so that the oil has a chance to make it up to the camshaft before this self-destructs. You can be pretty liberal with this stuff. Just get on anything that might come into contact with another piece of metal. So installing the camshaft is a little tricky because you have to feed it through chain. There's a certain order in which this goes in, where the first lobe goes into the hole facing the left, the second goes in facing the right. All the while you have to keep that chain moving along. Something like this magnet will help. Without looking at it, you have to get the end of the camshaft into the hole. It's definitely not easy. There we go. With the camshaft in, your next step is going to be adding the camshaft sprocket. But you need to make sure that it lines up on the chain properly with the crankshaft down below. I need my timing marks back on, which means I need to put the stator that I took off back in, which we can do. So we'll do that first, and then we'll continue on with putting the rest of the motor back together. So I'm using black Permatex where the rubber piece is going to go. And that's going to give this thing a better chance of sealing properly. Oftentimes when you have a leak coming from the stator cover on a Honda, it's because of this. Slides in like that, nice and tight. right, this next part is critical. So you're gonna wanna make sure that the bottom end is at top dead center, as noted by the T mark right here on this, right there. And then you want your camshaft to be aligned vertically for when you put the sprocket in. That's gonna ensure that your motor is timed correctly. Kind of an important deal. And this part's tricky because you have to line the sprocket up with the chain so that it matches the crankshaft. And that's not easy to do. So it might take a couple tries, but you know, stay patient. So you can see my cam is not lining up. I need to go to the right. So this comes off again. You can see where I'm holding the top dead center down here. And we're roughly vertically aligned with the cylinder, with the camshaft sprocket. So I'll call that a win, and I'll bolt them together. All right, so we got our timing cover in place. Now I've got my timing advance. And you see that there's like a little slot right there in the hole. So we're going to want to line that up with that little nub there. Should go in something like that. That's pretty much all there is to that. This guy's gonna go on. Putting the points in, well, point? Do you call them points when it's one cylinder? I don't know. There's a line on the points, and then there's a line right here on the cam cover. And so we're gonna line that up. Though I will admit, my points actually have a second line scratched into them where somebody previously decided better timing was. I'm going to leave that for now. We might address that in the future once the spike's all together and I can start it up and see if it runs. I love getting to the end. You finally get to put on those nice covers. Oh. I love the sheen on this thing. Again, this is just VHT aerosol paint. This stuff is not holding up as well as it did on the BMW. I'm not sure why I baked it. So I'm gonna do a little touch up after it's all complete, but no big deal. It's just paint, you can always put more on it. So the motor's pretty much complete. A couple little things here and there. And I'm gonna have to do a little touch up on the paint, but man, does that look good. I did a combination of gloss black and satin black, which you can see there, just to give it a little definition. You might have noticed I didn't put a gasket on over the clutch cover. That's because I think I already used the gasket that was out of that set when I was first getting this thing going. And I forgot to get another one, so no big deal. There's plenty to do on this thing before I'm ready to start this motor. And look what showed up. The Honda and BMW frames got back from powder coat, and they look rad. I've got a whole bunch of parts that have been all finished nicely too. I also got the oil rotor I was waiting on for this BMW motor, so if you want to see more engine building stuff, you know what to do. So I'm not exactly sure what the next video is going to be. Might be the BMW engine. It might be putting some parts on the BMW frame so that I can then drop the engine into it. We'll find out, but next one's coming soon. Got a whole lot of stuff to do. Got all the parts in that I need to do them, and so I just have to, you know, forget to sleep for a while, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you for coming along. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you around.